Hi, everyone. My name is Garrett Johnson. Medicine Hat is my hometown. I am a professor at Boston University, where I live with my family, and I've been a CARO member for almost 20 years. I joined CARO after living in Burkina Faso for 3 months in 2004 as part of a volunteer exchange. So I wanted to begin with just 3 pieces of advice for anyone that wants to go to Burkina Faso. So my first piece of advice is that there's one very important word you should learn in the local language, and that is lafi. Lafi. Lafi means health. And health is everything when you're living in a very poor country south of the Sahara Desert. And Burkinabés are very hardworking, they're very polite, and they begin every conversation by asking, how are you? How is your wife? How are your kids? How are your parents? How's your work? And the answer to all these questions is just lafi. Everybody is healthy. That's the most important thing. So that's all the language you need to get through the first 5 minutes of the conversation. Okay, my second piece of advice is if you want to go to Burkina Faso, don't go for the food. You see a lot of Thai restaurants and Italian and Indian restaurants around Alberta. You don't see a lot of Burkinabe restaurants. And that being said, Burkina does really have some good food. It has some outstanding mangoes. They have amazing peanuts. In fact, they put these peanuts together and grind it into a paste, and they deep fry it into rings called kura kura. It looks like an onion ring, but it tastes delicious. It's crunchy. It goes perfect with a Coca-Cola on a hot day. Speaking of hot days, advice number 3 is leave your toque and mittens at home. In Burkina Faso, the average high in April is 39 degrees. The lowest temperature is in December, where the average low is 17 degrees. So you're not going to be needing your toque or your mittens. But Burkinabés, when it's December, they're going to be walking around with their winter jackets and their hats and gloves. And if you tell them what the weather is like in Medicine Hat, Alberta, they won't believe you. They won't believe in snow, and frankly, I can't blame them. Okay, so when I lived in Burkina Faso, I was fortunate enough to stay in the home of Angèle Zida and her husband. Angèle is the president of the orphanage. She is a force of nature. She runs that place with integrity and hard work, and all as a volunteer. She also has a great sense of humor. And she started out as a primary school teacher, and she noticed in her classes that the orphans' children were falling behind, if indeed they were fortunate enough to be enrolled in her classes. And so she gathered a group of women in the community and created a women's association. And the first and most longstanding project of that association has been the Teega Wende Orphanage. Now, I returned about a decade later in 2013 with my now wife, Megan. We spent a lot more time at the orphanage. I have fond memories of spending time with the kids. Just a simple thing like blowing bubbles. All these, 10 kids or 15 kids would chase these bubbles around the little play area. It was really fun. We also brought some face paints, and we had a big party when we were there. And there was just a great big line for this face painting and the stickers, and even the nannies and Angèle herself got involved. So I want to thank everyone here for attending and for supporting the Teega Wende Orphanage. I want to leave you with a concluding thought, which is about Disney cartoons, the movies from our childhood. So when you think of Disney cartoons, you think of heartwarming and uplifting tales. But if you think harder, these tales often begin with the main character losing one or both parents. So examples would be Elsa and Anna from Frozen, Cinderella, Bambi, Simba from The Lion King, Lilo and Stitch, Mowgli in the Jungle Book, Snow White, Nemo from Finding Nemo. And this is a really tragic beginning to these stories, but in all these cases, the communities rise around them to support these kids in need. And our story today is about 2 communities. Yako Burkina Faso, where large groups of women we're now taking care of 200 plus children that they take care of and put a lot of love into. And Medicine Hat, Alberta, which for over 2 decades has been supporting this orphanage financially. And these communities are actually almost exactly 10,000 kilometers apart. They speak different languages. They have very different temperatures, in the winter at least. They have different food. And most of us will never travel to Burkina Faso. But you know what? The heart can bridge that distance. And with big and small acts of love and caring, we can support these kids in need. So I want to thank you one last time to all of our guests and all of our artists this afternoon.